Deshi Gurun Dinatarini, Paramanandam Shri Chaitanya. Okay. Let me do the live streaming. Okay. All right. Today we're going to do a quick summary of chapter 7. So we said from chapter 7 to chapter 12 is the Bhakti Yoga section of the Bhagavad Gita. And the single word summary for chapter 7 was boss. Boss because Krishna is the boss of all of us. We can't escape Krishna. He's there in the spiritual world, he's there in the material world. You can never run away from Krishna. I mean, spiritually you can run away from him. But otherwise, he's always present with you. He is the supreme controller, he is the supreme enjoyer. And that makes him the absolute boss. We began by talking about knowledge of the absolute truth. And when one wants to acquire knowledge, you have to do some research, you have to gather some information. So similarly, even when it comes to spiritual matters, you have to use your intelligence to gather knowledge, assess it, expose yourself to more and more knowledge, and then slowly your education on the spiritual path starts. So I've got a question for you, which you can post the answer in the chat. We'll discuss a little later. My question to you is, does spirituality involve the heart or the head or both? So you can just put your answers in the chat. Does spirituality involve only the heart or only the head or both together? So we were looking at different ways of acquiring knowledge through Arohana and Avarohana method. In the Arohana method, it is the ascending method where you use your own intelligence to understand nature around you. And we said, while this process does allow you to learn, it is not perfect because the human being has 4 defects, which is we commit mistakes, we operate under illusion, we have a tendency to cheat others, and and most importantly, our senses are imperfect. Whereas in the Avarohana method, which is called the descending method, you simply accept the knowledge that is coming in the Parampara system because somebody else has already researched the truth and is giving it to you. So it is easier, it is less time consuming. It allows you to reach your goal that much faster as well. So we cannot only rely on our senses to understand the world around us. We have to go beyond our senses. There are 3 ways of learning. The 2 processes that we talked about, one ascending, one descending. Descending is the better process because knowledge has already been tested, tried, and proven. So you don't have to start from scratch. So the way you acquire knowledge is through 3 processes. One is through pratyaksha pramana, which is your senses are acquiring information all the time. Then there is something called the anumana pramana, which is you use logical reasoning to accept or reject whatever hypothesis is out there. And then finally, it is called shabda pramana. So you heard Krishna talking to Arjuna by saying, listen carefully, I'm about to speak on a very important topic. So the Shabda Pramana is hearing from authoritative figures. So especially when it comes to spiritual matters, you have to hear from a higher authority. When it comes to spiritual matters, it's very difficult to study the Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavatam, or the Chaitanya Charitamrita on your own, because you first have to develop the taste. To develop the taste to read, you first have to hear. So our entire spiritual journey begins with hearing. Therefore, Shabda Pramana is considered the most perfect way to learn about the Supreme Lord. But even when it comes to hearing, there are multiple layers by which you can hear deeply, right? I'm sure many of us, after attending a class, we may not be able to recollect everything that the person spoke about. We may be able to recollect something that hit us hard or something that answered our question. So in a 45-minute class, maybe you remember 2 or 3 points. Unless you are hearing really deeply, then kudos to you that you are able to make that much of a effort in just being completely focused on the class. So the 4 steps to hear deeply are beginning with Shravanam. Hearing is just the first step, by the way. The second step after hearing is what is called Mananam. After you have attended the session, you have to contemplate on what you heard. So that as you reflect on what you have heard, that is where the transformation of the heart begins. Then the third step is called Nididhyasanam, which is you use the knowledge that you have heard, that you have contemplated on, and now you're going to apply it practically to change your life. So this is called Nididhyasanam. And the fourth step of deep hearing is Vandanam. You have to pray to the Lord to help you assimilate everything that you are hearing, and also pray to the Lord to reveal the truth to you. So prayer is also a necessary aspect of learning, because a lot of things you learn through revelations from within the heart, in the sense that, sometimes when you least expect it, the Lord is actually giving you the answers through the lips of somebody else or something that you heard. You never asked that question, but the Lord has responded. There is an interesting diagram called the learning pyramid. In that learning pyramid, it says the fastest and the best way to learning that actually sticks. At the top of the pyramid is to hear a lecture. At the bottom of the pyramid is to teach others. So you actually learn most when you're engaged in teaching others. So Krishna has said he is everywhere, in everything, and in everyone. And he uses the analogy of the pearls beautifully set on a string of thread. So the pearls are visible, the thread is not. So the material world is visible to you, but you're not able to assess the thread that is holding this material world together. As a matter of fact, Krishna says, I'm the thread that holds everything together. The material world, the spiritual world, the jivatmas, the inanimate objects, the animate objects, everything depends on the Lord. That is how complex the working of this universe is, that gigantic planets are simply floating in the air. And Krishna says they will not float unless I am within that planet. in the sense Krishna's energy has to pervade anything in order for it to exhibit activity. Without consciousness, nothing can operate, nothing can grow. A simple way to understand this is that if there is a tractor in front of you, the tractor is not going to move on its own. It is just jada, it is just dead matter. Somebody has to step in and operate that tractor. Similarly, this universe, this cosmos, these planets, everything is moving. It is not moving on its own. It's moving because the operator has stepped in, which is the Supreme. He is maintaining everything. So from the taste of water to the light of the sun and the ability in a human being, Krishna says all of this is coming from me. So he is the source of creation. Krishna is the topmost. There's nobody equal to or above him. Then Krishna speaks about, the categories of people who accept him or reject him. Even though this beautiful world is visible in front of your eyes, still many people do not accept that there is a creator behind it. They simply believe something called the Big Bang, which is interesting because recently I read that the Big Bang theory is no longer valid and it's been renamed something else, because the scientists have received some more information from the cosmos that they are researching that makes them believe that the Big Bang theory has to be revised. I forget what the new theory is called. That was an interesting name, but I'm not able to recollect the name. You can go research it. So the Big Bang is no longer valid. This is the 4 defects of human beings, right? Our knowledge will never be perfect. So Krishna says there are uncivilized people who do not accept him. There are people who are simply working hard for a living. They are so busy working hard, they don't have time for anything. Then you have the intellectuals who are misguided. Even though they have a lot of material knowledge, for whatever reason, they just want to shut off the idea of there being a higher power, a supreme authority. And then you have your full-fledged atheistic people. So Krishna says these are the 4 kinds of people who reject him. The 4 kinds of people who actually turn towards him, beginning with those who are in trouble and they want the Lord to help, those who desire wealth and success in their life, those who are just curious or inquisitive, and those who are actually searching for God. And then we came to the section of demigods, the devatas. So the devatas are all administrative heads. They own different departments. Just like in any company, a CEO would have heads of departments for HR, for finance, for quality control, for manufacturing, for customer service. Like this, the Lord also has many departments, and qualified jivatmas are given those roles of administrative heads. That's what Prabhupada calls them. The devatas are all administrative heads. They run a particular department. So Krishna is emphasizing to us, it's very important for us to understand and distinguish between Krishna and the devatas. We need to understand the function of the devatas versus the position of Krishna as a supreme authority, as Bhagavan. Krishna says only people with less intelligence worship the demigods. And whatever results they get is limited and temporary. Limited because that particular devata only owns one portfolio. One devata cannot respond to all of your desires. And it is temporary because whatever benefits they give you is going to expire within a designated period of time. And of course, your final expiration will be at the point that you actually leave this world. So in this way, Krishna is establishing himself as the supreme authority. So now Arjuna has a question. And the question is multifold. So we'll look at what all Arjuna is asking. And see what is the essence of this chapter. So if you understood your boss in chapter 7, you want to also assess how good of a boss he is. Are you really attracted to work for him? If you want to work for him, why do you want to work for him? So this question has to be answered. What's the benefit for us in worshipping Krishna, and what's the benefit for us in doing everything as a sacrifice for him? That is what we're going to discover today. Is my audio okay? Please confirm to me. I'm not using my mic.
Yes, Mataji, it's very clear.
It's clear?
Yes, Mataji, very clear.
Very good, thank you. I was afraid because I've not plugged in. Okay. So chapter 8 again begins with Arjuna having doubts. The doubt is, who are you exactly? Okay, you've told me you're the boss, but what kind of boss? If I come and fall at your feet, what will you do for me? So anyway, Krishna has used some terms at the end of chapter 7 in the last shloka. Arjuna is just seeking clarity on those terms in the beginning of chapter 8. So Arjuna is actually asking 8 questions. There are 8 terms that he wants Krishna to define further, because Krishna has used some of those terms. 3 of those terms he has used in the last shloka of chapter 7. Other terms Arjuna has heard a little earlier, but it's only now he is asking those questions. Then a very interesting topic about death. Death being our final exam. So if we have to pass the final exam, what's the definition of passing or failing? How can you go back to Krishna? That's the question. And Krishna will emphasize, you can come back to me by always thinking about me. Specifically at the time of death, you have to think about Krishna. And then Krishna concludes this chapter by talking about, giving us a brief glimpse into what is pure devotion, because that will be the theme for chapter 9. So there is always a connection between the chapters. So in chapter 7, Krishna has introduced himself through the agency of his energies. And he says, instead of doing bhakti to the demigods, you should do bhakti to me. And why? He's giving you that answer also. So here is Arjuna's question. Adhiyajñah katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham jneyosi niyatatmabhi. Who is the Lord of sacrifice? And how does he live in the body, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? There are questions in Shloka 1 also. We have just picked Shloka 2 for the sake of brevity. Now, essentially, Arjuna is asking how. The only question that is most important in the shloka is the last question. Everything else Krishna will answer fatafat. The rest of the chapter he is going to focus on answering Arjuna's last question, which is, how can I remember you, Krishna, at the time I leave this body? So normally we will ask, our tendency is to ask a lot of why questions. or what questions? What will I cook? What will I wear? Should I attend that wedding ceremony or not? So our life tends to be filled with so many mundane questions. But this is the most important question being asked by Arjuna. Essentially, how to die. So Gita is not just about how to live, it is also about how to die. So the art of leaving this body is the theme of this particular chapter. So this is Arjuna's curiosity. So all of the why questions, what questions, they are also temporary in nature. It suits a particular purpose, and once the answer is received or a solution is received, you just move on to your next question, your next question. But the ultimate question for us is on the spiritual platform. First of all, why have I taken birth? If I've taken birth, why on earth do I have to die? Why should I die? So these are the kind of questions that distinguish you from any other animal, which is, how should I die? What should be my mood? So what is Krishna saying? Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yaf prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayah. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this, there is no doubt. Krishna is emphasizing, do not doubt me when I say, if you are thinking about me at the time of death, immediately you will be transported to the spiritual world and finished. You're done. You've passed your final exam. So death for us is the final exam. So whatever you remember, that is exactly what you're going to get. Bharat Maharaj remembered the deer, so that's exactly what he got. He got the body of a deer. So how to remember Krishna at the time of death? Is it possible to do it in the last minute, somehow or the other? Hit a sixer without any practice. So how to remember Krishna at the time of death? We've already answered this question. You begin with Harinam Japa, so that your mind and your intellect is dovetailed in Krishna. For the intellect specifically, gaining knowledge, studying scriptures will help you. And then of course the body also has to be utilized to engage all of the senses in the services of Krishna. So I have a question for you. In any country that has army, military, the soldiers are trained every day. But war doesn't come every day. So my question is, why are the soldiers trained every day? What's the reason? To be ready anytime. Very nice. Preparation. Yeah. Correct. Because the soldiers do not know when the war will happen. They have to be ready on very short notice and step into the battlefield. Second, as Parvati Mataji has pointed out, you have to be physically and mentally fit and trained at all times, because this war is going to be a high pressure situation. You can't just I'll just pick up my gun and shoot. No, it's not possible. So you have to keep practicing. Yes, very nice point, Anupriya. Practice makes you perfect or precise. So, and some soldiers may never see a war in their lifetime, but still they'll practice every day. They have to do their drills, they have to do their exercises. They are always prepared, because you do not know when the next war is going to start. Similarly, you do not know when you're going to die. So you have to be prepared all the time. You have to be ready anytime Krishna calls you. Exit the body means you should be ready. You should be ready. You should already be thinking of Krishna. So if the soldier has to be so diligent and disciplined and prepare and perfect and be precise, how can we take death so lightly? Our death is coming, all of us know it for sure. But can we afford to take it lightly? Should we not prepare ourselves? Because the whole purpose of human life is for you to go back to Krishna. So if you're not practicing going back to Krishna, how will you go back to Krishna? You'll just keep taking another birth and another birth and another birth. So we have to be ready to remember Krishna at any time, because death does not come announced for most of us. Therefore, through chanting, through reading, through engaging the senses, this is not some weekend activity. You have to do it every day. Just like the soldier gets up and prepares himself every day, trains himself every day, disciplines himself every day, a bhakta does this every day. Because when Yamaraj will come, we do not know. So mantra meditation, reading shastras and engaging the senses, we have to do it every day. That means Krishna expects you to set aside some time to train yourself to remember. Because in the last moment, if you think just by fluke you will remember him, that may not always be the case. It could be impossible for you to remember Krishna. So this death is actually the final exam for us. Krishna says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyam te kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. In the 5th shloka, Krishna said, if you remember me, you will come back to me, no doubt about it. In the 6th shloka, Krishna is saying, well, if you remember something else, whatever category that something else falls in, Krishna says, definitely you will get that result. So this is how dangerous death is. Death is not an end of a chapter. Not an end of the book, but it's just the end of the chapter. In your next life, who knows where you're going to go? Who you're going to be? What species, which planet, which universe? We don't know any of this. They are quite risky. It's quite risky that we want to take a chance with death. So, in the Bharat Maharaj pastime that we talked about yesterday, do you think Bharat Maharaj should have saved that deer and kept it with him and raised the deer? Should he have done that or should he not have done that? What do you think? Should Bharat Maharaj have paid that much attention to the deer? Yes or no?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
Mataji, he should have raised the deer but not get attached to the deer. The problem is where he got attached to the deer, right?
Okay. He should have raised the deer, you say. Okay. Anybody else has another opinion? You think he should have raised the deer?
Raising the deer will also get the attachment, no, Mataji.
Because raising the deer itself means attachment. He could have rescued the deer, taken care of it until it was able to take care of itself. Because animals are better at surviving on their own than probably a human baby is. A human baby is very dependent on somebody else to take care of it. But animals are practically self-sufficient because their instinct will take over. So the mistake he made is getting attached to the deer. And look what happened. He had to take a body of the deer and then another body before he realized what a mistake he had made. So similarly, in any exam, if we prepare well, then we don't have to be nervous. We don't have to be fearful. The student that is filled with anxiety and fear is a student that has not prepared well. So therefore, preparation is important for us, even when it comes to death. So when should you prepare? Right away. Why? Because it's an emergency. You do not know when death is going to come knocking on your door. You know, there could be disease, there could be natural disasters. There could be so many other calamities. Right? So why should we take a choice to suffer again and again? Because if you're not focused on this, that means you have personally chosen to suffer again and again, which does not seem to make sense at all. So essentially, life is a preparation for death. Our entire life is to practice ourselves to face death in a way, in such a glorious way that we can think of Krishna and go back to him right away. So now Krishna is going to, because Arjuna has asked, how can I remember you at the time of death? And we are just one chapter removed from Ashtanga Yoga. So Krishna is going to talk about how yogis die and they can choose their time of death. But they have to be so precise in the time of the year, the time of the day. Everything has to just work out perfectly well in order for them to achieve their goal. If they don't die during the proper time, during the proper time of the day or time of the year, then all that they practice for is just comes back to zero. Of course, Krishna will give them credits for whatever they've done. But it's not the same as performing bhakti. Yes. So similarly, in our life, we shouldn't say, I will wait till I'm old, then I will chant, then I will read. Right now, I don't have time. I have too many responsibilities. Life is confusing, challenging, etc. This should not be our mood. The other mood we should not have is we should not say, I will only go to Krishna if there is a problem in my life. But let him give me something first, then I will think about chanting his names. So if somebody important knocks on our door, immediately we'll drop everything and go to see him. Right? We will not say, wait, I'm busy. Similarly, the mother also knows what's best for the child. If the child asks for a knife, The mother is not going to hand over the knife. So similarly, when you ask Krishna for things that you really don't need, that you're not ready for, Krishna is not going to give it to you, but you should not be upset about it and throw a temper tantrum because the Lord is not giving you what you wanted and you've prayed for so long. Krishna is anyway taking care of you, and you know, by now we know how nicely Krishna is taking care of us. Our duty is to express our love and gratitude to the Lord. And there's so simple and small ways by which we can do it. So let's look at the how, why, and the what of attaining attaining Krishna, essentially. How? Krishna is saying, Ananyacheta satatam yo mam smarati nityashah tasyaham sulabhav partha nityayuktasya yoginah. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain. O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Ananya Cheta Sadatam. You give up all other thoughts and only think of Krishna without deviation. If you do this, Krishna says, Sulabha, very easy to get back to me. Now, of course, Krishna is saying easy. For us, we don't experience it being that easy. But Krishna is telling you, you just remember me all the time without deviation. You'll come back to me. It is such an easy thing. Because you are absorbed in Krishna. Though I Mam upetya punarjanma dukkha layama shashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gataha. The how was how to always remember Krishna. Why you should always remember Krishna? Krishna is saying, after attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. So if you've perfected the aim of your life, which is to go back to the spiritual world, then there's no need for you to come back here. Samsiddhim paramam gata. They attain the highest destination. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This material universe is filled with miseries. Ashashvatam, it is temporary. So you may want to try and live here longer and longer and longer, but it doesn't make sense. So the how, the why, one more shloka. Abrahma bhuvana lokaha punaravartinorjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Krishna is explaining further. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So this is the 14 planetary systems listed on the left-hand side. Satyaloka, Tapaloka, Janaloka, Maharloka, Swargaloka, Goarloka, Gurloka, which is where the earth is. Athala, Vithala, Suthala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. So that means all the way from Patala to Satyaloka, where Brahmaji lives. All these places will be destroyed. And all the Jivatmas residing in these places at the time of destruction have to give up their body, including Brahmaji, including where all the Devatas are in Swargaloka. So all the Devatas are also Jivatmas occupying a particular post. When the chapter is closed on this cosmos, finished. They have to give up the ghost. It's as simple as that. Because there's no creation. So Krishna has talked about the material world, called it Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. It's temporary. It's full of miseries. That means there has got to be something better. That better place is the spiritual universe. So you can see, not very clearly, but here you see the 14 planetary systems. This is Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, from whose navel emanates the beautiful lotus stem and flower, and Brahma is created on top of this lotus flower. So Brahma Loka is the highest, and below Brahma are all the other 13 lokas. And this universe has many, it's like an anda. It's got a very thick eggshell, each layer 10 times larger in diameter than the previous layer. Like this, it has 7 coverings. So you have to pierce Earth is somewhere here. You have to pierce this covering. You have to step out of the material universe. And there is an ocean you have to cross to reach Brahma Jyoti. In that, the river that you have to cross, the Viraja river, that is where you let go of all your false ego. And then you enter the Brahma Jyoti. If you are going into the planet, you'll go beyond the Brahma Jyoti into all of these Vaikuntha planets that you see, millions and trillions of Vaikuntha planets. And if you go past the Vaikuntha planets, you will come to Krishna's abode or residence, which is called Goloka Vrindavan. So here Krishna is saying, Avyakto kshara ityuktaha tamahuf paramam gatim yam prapya nanivartante tadhama paramam mama. That which the Vedantas describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as a supreme destination, that place from which, having attained it, one never returns, that is my supreme abode. So now Krishna has contrasted the material world with the spiritual world. And he's saying, be assured that once you enter the spiritual world, you don't have to take birth again. No matter how many doubts you have, you don't have to worry, because this is just guaranteed by Krishna. So the spiritual world is where we want to go. That means performing spirituality does not mean your goal is to go to Swarga, because even Swarga will get destroyed. So you are performing bhakti so that you can go to the spiritual world, because Swarga is in the material world. Brahma also is in the material world. So Krishna will come to the topic of pure devotion. Pure devotion is actually very simple. Krishna has already said in chapter 3, we should all offer whatever we are eating. Before we eat it, we should offer it to Krishna, like this, in a nice little plate, everything nicely organized, different cups for different items. Put a tulsi leaf in each of the cups, and then serve it to Krishna, just like he was the head of the household and a family member. And then you partake of Prasad. One more thing that you have to do is worship Tulsi Maharani every day, because Tulsi Maharani is considered Bhakti Devi. If you can take care of Tulsi Maharani and worship her very nicely, she will give you Bhakti. So this is the last shloka in this chapter, where Krishna says, Vedeshu yajneshu tapassu chaiva Daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtham atyeti tat sarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanopaiti chadyam. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. Krishna is saying, you don't have to do karma yoga separately and get the benefits of that. You don't have to do jnana yoga separately and get the benefits of that. You don't have to do dhyana yoga and get the benefits of that. Simply by performing bhakti yoga, you get the benefits of dhyana yoga, jnana yoga, karma yoga, nishkama karma yoga. All those benefits automatically come when you perform bhakti. So this is how you know Krishna is emphasizing bhakti in the Bhagavad Gita. He is not emphasizing jnana yoga. He is emphasizing bhakti. So simply by performing devotional services, you get the benefits of all other processes. And this is the way in which you achieve the Supreme Lord. Now, I had asked earlier, at the beginning of the class, one question. That question was, in bhakti, do you use only your heart, or do you use only your head, or is it a combination of both? A couple of you said both, and I think one person said heart, I think. The correct answer is both. Because the heart is full of emotions, but the head has to tell you that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. The head has to be able to have that viveka, the ability to discriminate between who is God and who is Jivatma. So essentially, Krishna is saying here, pure devotion is the easiest way to go back to Krishna. So, Nama Japa, offering bhoga to the Lord, fasting on Ekadashi, worshipping Tulasi Devi, these are the basics of bhakti. So, bhakti is not very difficult to do. The process is very simple. It is easy, but we don't want to take it up because it is so easy. So, bhakti is superior, Krishna is the topmost, and how we should worship him, that is already stated. So the single word summary for today's chapter is insurance. So if you work for a corporation, one of the things that you evaluate before you decide whether you want to accept their job offer or not is their insurance policy. Krishna has offered you a job in the 3rd chapter. He has told you what kind of boss he is in the 7th chapter. In the 8th chapter, he is saying, as far as your performance goes, I'm only evaluating on whether you remember me at the time of death. If you remember me at the time of death, then the insurance policy is that I will come and pick you up personally. So Krishna is saying, this is the kind of boss I am, and this is the kind of insurance policy I'm giving. So how is Krishna going to evaluate your performance? By bhakti. Are you doing bhakti? If you're doing bhakti, Krishna will come and pick you up. That is the essence of chapter 8, which is how to die thinking about Krishna. So we'll stop here. If there are any questions or comments, or if you want to share something. Yes, Vinay Prabhu.
Namaste,
Krishna,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. You proceed, Mataji. After that, I will ask. Please proceed, Mataji.
Sharda Mataji had a question. Yeah. Yes, what's your question?
Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, this is regarding chanting. This for chanting. Yesterday I couldn't attend your session.
You have a question regarding chanting?
I like the example of a dirty glass of water. No, Mataji, I just wanted to clear the thing. There's a dirty glass of water which is kept.
Correct. If you pour clean water into a
So
glass
when
of dirty water, eventually
and
it will become clean.
So does that chanting also, or is it for some other reason, Mataji?
Sorry, you were breaking up.
Example. That example, what is given everywhere, like I've heard it so many times. Is
Yes.
is it for chanting also?
Yes.
The glass of water gets cleared after when it is kept under a running.
So through chanting, you are the dirty glass. Your mind is the dirty glass. The more you chant, it's like chanting is pouring clean water into your dirty mind. You keep pouring clean water into your dirty mind, eventually your mind will get cleansed. So yes, chanting is a necessary aspect of cleaning your consciousness. Is that okay?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Yes, Vinay Prabhu.
Mataji, first question is, today in the chat box, one question was asked, which process is best? Hearing most of the people, most of the devotees they kept. I have one small doubt. Even in scriptures also they are saying Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasam, Shakyamatmanam. Here my question is, one of my pure devotee, actually he can't able to hear properly. Means he can do sevas, chanting, everything he can capable, but he can't because he is suffering with dyslexia. He can't able to understand the situation. Whatever we say, he will understand in other way. So for that type of people, is there any special benediction through Krishna instead of because all these attain same benediction, or else different, Mataji?
As you rightly said, there are 9 different ways in which you can 9 different limbs of bhakti, any one of which you can practice in perfect and go back to Krishna. So the concession is already there because there is 9. You can do any one of the 9 or all of the 9 or 2 of the 9. So Krishna has already given the concession. He's not telling us you have to do all 9.
Correct.
So if we can't hear, then we can do Atma Nivedanam, completely surrender ourselves to Krishna. But to do that, you need knowledge. Knowledge will come if you perform bhakti. So since hearing is a critical aspect of learning, we do have in our temple where there is a few people who come who learn the Bhagavad Gita through sign language. So there are ways in which you can learn. If you're not able to read or if you're not able to hear, then sign language is a good option to study the scripture. But of course, finding somebody who can teach you through sign language may be very challenging. But yes, but still the other limbs are still accessible to you. Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. The concession has already been given by the Lord. Chanting, I am sure anybody can do chanting.
Yes, and yeah, Mataji, thanks for answer, Mataji. And second question is, I'm just analyzing this chapter with 6th chapter, Mataji. Here, Krishna is saying continuously chant and remember me, and finally you attain without punarjanma. you can overcome from birth, death, disease, and rebirth. Like that, one statement is there. Right? But in the sixth chapter, if you see, Arjuna will say, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna pramadi balavadrudam tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriva diskaram. However, the answer given by Asamshaya Mahabaho, that answer given by Krishna, but such a great, powerful warrior, Arjuna himself, he is saying, he himself only, he can't able to control his senses as well as mind, because mind is made up of air in the Panchabhuta. For ordinary people, even though we are living in such a nasty world, how can we keep always, even chanting also, I don't know how much it is workout. Even while chanting at time also, so many times we will deviate our mind. Our mind is thinking other aspects, and the mouth is running the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In such a time, how can we keep our mind constantly with Krishna? How far it is possible, Mataji?
Well, if it is not possible, Krishna would not suggest that this be the path that we pursue. He does not say it is easy, but he does say, through abhyasa and vairagya, you can accomplish it. Abhyasa is through practice. Practice, 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 practice. You should not give it up. So, to your question, we are not sure if chanting will work or not. Well, you have to try it. And you have to see the results. But to try it, it cannot be for a short period of time. Right? You should try it for 2-3 months, then you will begin to see some results coming about because of the chanting. Especially if you chant very attentively, you will see results very quickly. So it really depends on our readiness to have faith in Krishna's words and our readiness to follow his instructions. Even today I was reading the Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 6, 7, 8, 9 I was reading. Again and again, the Bhagavatam is saying the same thing. Maitreya Rishi is telling Vidura, by chanting, by remembering the Lord, you can go back to the Lord. So it's glorious that all the questions are being asked about what did Krishna do? How was this creation? How did this creation start? What is Vishnu's role? How come Vishnu is not influenced by the Trigunas, even though he is entering into the universe? And by the way, I think you asked this question yesterday, how the 64 qualities of Krishna. Prabhupada actually gives a very nice analogy. If the king visits the jail cell or the prison, does the king get contaminated because he visits?
No, Mataji.
So the king is visiting out of his mercy for the prisoners. Maybe he wants to commute their sentence, or maybe he wants to forget them. But the king does not come under the jurisdiction of the jailkeeper simply because he has entered the jail. So similarly, Krishna does not come under the jurisdiction of Maya Devi, because Durga Devi is, the word Durga means fortress. She is the jailkeeper for all of us. Just because the king comes into this fortress does not mean he is suddenly now under the control of the jailer. So this is another way to understand how Krishna is not influenced. Even though he enters this material cosmos, he is not influenced by all the three gunas. Yes, Anupriya, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
So my question goes back to chapter 3.
Chapter 2?
Chapter 3.
Chapter 3, yes.
Right. Where we learned about differences between lust and love, and how lust is about expecting from people, whereas love is more about appreciating what you have, more about serving. So I was wondering, in the context of modern day relationships, there's a lot of wrongs and rights that happen. So if somebody has wronged you, um, do you still appreciate what you have? Do you continue to do your duty in that sense? Do you continue to serve others? That's essentially my question.
I didn't understand the question. You said in modern day, what is happening?
In modern day relationships,
Yeah.
if someone has wronged you, right? So in that case, do you still do your duty? Do you still serve the person, because you're supposed to love and not have lust, right? You're not supposed to expect for yourself but give.
Love doesn't exist in the material world. It is only lust, because we have expectations. If the person meets my expectations, then I will love them. Then that's actually not love. That is only lust only. Lust means if somebody doesn't satisfy our desires, whatever it is, our desires, then that is cannot be construed as love. Prabhupada says love only exists in the spiritual world because love is perfectly reciprocated by Krishna only. The more you serve Krishna, the more you love him, and the more he allows you to love him also. So this concept of love does not apply to the material world at all. Because at the drop of a hat, we are ready to give up a relationship. That's because we have not been satisfied. We have expectations. Now, I'm not saying these expectations are wrong. The question is, we will never be happy as long as we have expectation of somebody else. Now, that being said, in the eyes of state law and local laws, there may be rules on what is acceptable behavior or not acceptable behavior in a relationship. So in that context, you can take action based on what the state law allows you. But understand that ultimately, it is our own karma that is causing us to experience difficult situations. It is just that Lord has sent you an agent to experience that distress. So in that sense, Krishna, so from third chapter, we have to go back to second chapter now. Krishna says ups and downs in life is a matter of duality. As long as we live in this material world, we will experience this duality. You can't avoid it. Certain things will go well, certain things will not go well. Therefore, Krishna says, tolerate titikshabaha. So one of the symptoms of a nice devotee is they learn to tolerate. My answer may not have been fully satisfactory to you because your question began with, somebody has done me something wrong. Should I still serve them out of a sense of duty? In the upcoming chapters, Krishna will say, even performing your duty out of a sense of duty and not out of a sense of love is also purifying.
Understood.
Hare Hare Krishna. All right, there's a question in the chat. Okay, if we have a heart full of devotion toward Krishna, will he not give us intelligence, and will he not give intelligence to understand his Paramatma? Definitely he will. What is the need of having head as separate? Okay, so you're talking about the head and the heart. You have to have a head to process the intelligence, no? Where will the intelligence reside? Okay, if your heart is filled with devotion to Krishna, that's fine. That can also be because for material reasons also you may be giving your heart to Krishna because he's taking care of you nicely. To assess the intelligence, you need a head. But the function of a head is different than the function of a heart. The heart actually emotes and makes connection. The head makes sense of everything that is happening. The head doesn't need to make sense of everything that is happening in the external world. The head just needs to make sense of the fact that I am servant and Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So therefore, both the heart and the head are important. Yes, your heart has to surrender to Krishna. Because we have to balance our emotions with intellectual understanding of who is Krishna. And if Krishna has to reveal to you who he is, then to process that information, you need your head. Now, intelligence doesn't mean you have to have a high IQ. That's not the kind of intelligence we're talking about. Intelligence to accept that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, that is more than sufficient. Yes? I hope that answers your question. Yes, Parvati Mataji.
Mataji, it's a generic question. Actually, while I'm coming to temple, one of my friend's mother actually she called me just for general inquiry. And I said like, I'm going to temple. She just said like, why are you doing all these things in this age? It is not the right age to do. Is there any ideal age to do Bhakti, Mataji?
Ideal age. Well, according to Prahlad Maharaj, the ideal age is 5, to start from the age of 5. So what will she say if she hears this?
No, that is what I'm not able to understand. Everybody is saying like that. Why are you going to temple? This is not the right age. Your children are very. Like not in the age to understand you. Like they were like discouraging me to do so.
Yeah,
So
because they've not read the scriptures, so they don't know. But you know clearly that they're talking nonsense. So you can ask them, what would you rather that I do? Would you rather I go to a bar or hang out in a mall?
Yeah, nowadays these are the things which are encouraged, Machataji. When we are going to temple, no, they're looking at us like different people.
Yeah. So the best way to answer such questions is to tell them, I love it. I have such peace of mind. I enjoy myself. Great prasadam, great company, great kirtan. Just tell them I love it. So,
yeah.
Nothing bad has happened to me since I started going to the temple.
Yeah, that is what, Mataji. That is what my question, simple question.
Yeah.
Okay, Mataji.
So you have to respond to them by giving the answer in such a way that it encourages them to come to the temple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, one more question. Why do people, even after worshipping Tulsi Devi, are unable to progress in bhakti and always limit the devotion? Yeah, so to your question, most of the Hindu houses will have a Tulsi plant or a couple of Tulsi plants in the house. So many houses are worshipping Tulsi. So if they are worshipping Tulsi, how come they don't have bhakti? Well, they may be worshipping Tulsi out of a sense of ritual and not out of a sense of love. Perhaps they have not understood Tulsi Maharani's position in benedicting them with bhakti. So if they don't, this is why the head is important. The heart is telling them you do it because culturally this is meant to be done. Every house is supposed to have a Tulsi. It is beneficial, they understand it. But they don't understand how powerful Tulsi Devi is. For this, you need the head, not the heart. So if they've understood the benefits of worshipping Tulsi, then they will ask her only for bhakti, because that's why she's called Bhakti Devi. Krishna has her at his lotus feet all the time. She resides there eternally at Krishna's lotus feet. They have not understood this. So yes, you can also circumambulate tulsi, you can light a lamp. But do you know why you're doing it? If they don't know why they're doing it, if they don't understand the significance of tulsi worship, then how will they make advancement in bhakti? So is it genuine worship or is it just a ritual? Because some people follow rituals out of fear. Oh, if I don't do this, something bad will happen. But a bhakta does not think in negative ways. A bhakta always thinks positive. If I worship Tulsi Devi, I'll be benefited spiritually. Okay. Any other questions? Right. Thank you very much. Vancha kalpatarupyasya kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Shri Gaura Nitai ki